Very beautiful. I had interview with Carlos as well today, so very
it was not so beautiful.
Hello, my name is Ginta Zemgale. I'm Baltic Customer Experience Manager at Citadele Bank. And today with me, there is Rūta Ežerskiene, CEO and Chair of Management Board at Citadele. Very welcome, Rūta.
Hi, Ginta.
And this time I want to start our conversation a bit different as I'm doing in those podcasts. Those podcasts usually are about different financial decisions, sometimes good and sometimes maybe not so good. But this time I want to start with one you're saying, which you're saying usually in interviews, I have heard before. And it is, you're saying that we all are CEOs of our lives.
It's true.
It's true? It's true. Very good. So, and I was thinking, it could be very interesting to take a look on financial decisions as well from the leadership angle or perspective. So the first question to you from my side would be, how do you think, are we leaders in different areas in our life as well? And here I mean as well finances.
I think, and why I'm telling that every one of us are CEOs of our lives. CEO for me, it's on the one hand leader, but on the other hand, the one who takes responsibility. This is why the person who takes responsibility of his or her life is already a CEO. This is why I think it's important in any stage of our lives, any decisions we make, are we taking responsibility or not? And then the question is how to take this responsibility, what information I have, how my decisions are based on, is it on data-based, is it emotion-based? This is why we always need to balance, and in order to take this responsibility and feel afterwards good, which is not always the case, this is very important to have this background of information needed to make this decision.
So interesting to hear so different angles actually on this small question I asked to you. How do you think, what helps people stay in control with their finances, and especially actually in those days, now?
If I would need to tell just one word, it would be discipline. And it works everywhere, both in your life, both in finances, both achieving your goals, everywhere. And discipline, from the first glance, for many people sounds like a negative word. But in essence, it's a very positive word, because making small disciplined steps, you can achieve a lot. And risking or doing big step, you can jump out of anything you do. So always your risk level should be measured. And always it's better to take first smaller steps, and then you can again redecide, because the life is very long and the goals can change, and both financial and personal. So it's not, that you decided once and you cannot change. You can change your goals, but then you need again to make another decision, which should be based on particular information or other perspectives depending on this goal.
I like how you said that actually sometimes discipline as a word gives you at first, this feeling that this is something negative or something hard, right? And I love to myself to say that maybe it's similar to routine.
I would say habit, because when you turn discipline to habit, you don't feel that it is discipline. But from very beginning, if you don't have this habit, you need to have discipline. There are researches done and proved that if you repeat the same activity 21 times, then it becomes habit. So, for some people, maybe 7 it's enough. For some 100 it's not enough. But the statistical average is 21. But the most important is your willingness and can-do attitude. If you don't have it, it's very hard, and then it will always be, negative surroundings. But if you have the goal, if you want to make it happen, and if you start with discipline, which turns into your habit, later on you will just dance.
A lot of benefits actually in discipline, in habits. And as well, one thing which I can just add to your saying is that I believe that discipline as well as a habit gives you a bit peace, because you know what are you doing. You have tried that before. And talking about habits, how do you think, or how do you see, does leadership is a mindset, or it's trainable?
I think it's both. Sometimes people are saying, oh, you are born to be leader. But if you will think like that, you will never improve yourself, you will never grow. And leadership is always about growth. So you need to have this growth mindset, and you can learn some things, you can, have them, but anyway, if you want to grow, you always need to learn. And adding to your previous question also about that people, when they have habit, feel better, it's always also about controlling situation. Because when you have this discipline or habit, you feel that you are controlling your life, controlling your finances. If you don't know what to do, or if you don't have those habits, then you always in attention, what can happen. Always something can happen, even if you have this discipline, but if you have it, it's much less tension and much more feeling of control.
Absolutely. And talking about the control, if people who listen to our conversation right now get so inspired and thinks, I want to start to control or to be a leader of my finances, what would be your suggestion as a first step, for example?
Most people are doing mistake trying to get first more income and to become millionaires.
Yeah.
But the first step is to control your costs. Where you are spending, do you really need it, and start to follow where you are spending, on what you are spending, etc. And then next step is that your spendings are not higher than your income, of course. And then only in parallel you should think how to earn more. So this is, I think, fundamentals that everyone needs. Basic. And then, of course, comes like savings, investments, etc.
Step by step, right?
Step by step.
With the small steps, and even sometimes the smallest step or the smallest changes in your behavior can be very important for your future, right?
Always.
And if we're talking about the starts, I have heard, maybe sometimes as well saw, that younger generation have a bit different, approach to money. They are more free on that. They are more free on spending sometimes, more free on thinking about the money. So what is your thought? Have you saw something like that younger generation is a bit different than others?
It is a bit different, and it is background for that. First of all, what was for me gift for Christmas, today young generation gets every day. And it's already for them gives, more feeling of freedom. And if for me it was a gift for them basics, it means that they have, different understanding and comfort of life. And of course, they haven't seen, very bad times. They always had this surroundings in all means, economics, etc. So for them, it's different, but it's not, that somehow they want to spend on everything. They just born in such environment, and they have different life. But I wouldn't say that they do not think about money that they do not think how to earn or how to manage their life. Yes, there are different, ways of how they think. They are not afraid to fail. They are not afraid to try many times. If I don't like this, I will try this, that, and that. So they have a bit different approach to life and of course then to finances as well.
Listening to you, actually, as well, some answer to me came. Maybe they are not like more free on the spending money or finances, but they feel more confident about it. They don't feel like bad feelings about money. Money is a resource to use for possibilities in my life, right?
It is very big part of truth, but I think it's also they are more confident in that way that anyway I will sort it out.
And
this sorted out for different people could mean differently, but if you as a person are happy how you sorted it out, it's okay.
Rūta, have you ever had emotional financial decision?
Yes,
Less rational. Can you tell a bit more about it? Because as well, as we were talking about youngsters, right? They are growing, as you said, they are making mistakes. They're not afraid to fall, to make a mistake, to learn for it, and to build great people around us. And I would say as well, just to add, that I see that this younger generation grows quite financially smart.
I agree with you. And I could give you several examples, but I can start with a coffee machine.
Oh? I feel it will be interesting.
Let's see, maybe it will be more. To make business case for coffee machine, to buy it or not, you should drink most probably 20 cups per day to make it as a real business case. I'm not drinking 20 cups per day, maybe 2 only. But sometimes it's also good to have this emotional flavor if it gives you energy into another area. If I am drinking coffee from coffee machine at home, can spend 15 minutes on myself or thinking on creative ideas, it is part of business case of this coffee machine. But then you need to also understand and tell to yourself that this is your business case. Or you have washing machine because you can spend more time with your children. This is your business case. So sometimes there are semi-emotional and money-driven business cases. But I would never, make such a decision just to buy so nice dress for 5,000 euros just because it's very nice to me. This will never happen. But there are real cases where it's not bad to have those emotions added to business case because at the end of the day they have even financial business case.
I really love your approach, how you told that. I believe my last question for you for today, how you would define skills for a strong leader in next 5 to 10 years? What could be those? And taking account that we were talking with you that leadership, it's not just in the finances or in the business, it's also very close to our daily life, right?
I just recently spoke at the conference and my topic was when AI will replace CEO. So on the one hand, if to very straightforward, AI will not replace CEO, but AI will help to CEO to make many different tasks. But what will never change is, again, your decision, your responsibility on those decisions, and how you trust and believe in yourself, and how others trust in you. At the same time, everything is changing as we speak. So one very important, angle of the leader is not only to be technology driven, but also human driven, because technology as per standalone will not, make the world nice, beautiful and peaceful. Still, we all are human. But most important is this growth mindset that you can, and you must, I would say, if you lead your life or company or family, you need to take this responsibility. You need constantly to learn and take this responsibility on yourself, and not to be, afraid of changing even your goals, because situations are different, everything is changing, and you need to adapt, be flexible in your mindset, and most important to take it and accept it, that changes today, it's constant. It will always be changes.
To be brave for changes, right? Thank you, Rūta, very much for your time and for conversation. Be brave to take leadership of your life and as well for your finances. Find more episodes of this podcast in our YouTube channel. Thank you.